Hi. So today I've got an article that my husband brought home for me. It's in the London Evening Standard from yesterday, 30th of August. And there's an article in here about tattoos that I thought was interesting. And the article is by a lady called Melanie McDonagh, and it's called Tattoos and Our Attitudes Are Not Just Skin Deep. Basically, she is talking about, well, I'll let her explain for herself. How you regard tattoos says a good deal about you. Whether you see your epidermis as a veritable canvas for the outward expression of your inner self, a kind of sacramental thing really, or whether you like it just as it is, white, in my case, with a few unsightly cooking scars on the arm. The Police Federation has taken sides on the issue, having called for a change in the rules on police dress, which bans body art that cannot be concealed by everyday clothing. It is researching the attitudes of the police and public towards officers with tattoos. Now, she's talking about the fact that I think there's been a recent rule change with UK police dress that now you are allowed to have visible tattoos, or maybe they're experimenting with the idea. She doesn't really make it clear. But basically what she is saying is that she thinks that a police officer with visible tattoos is less of a police officer. Anyway, I will go on to read Melanie's comments. She says, my own view is that if I come across an officer covered with a rich and varied body art, one of the crucial distinctions between him or her and the criminal classes vanishes. So she's basically, she is saying that if you see a police officer with tattoos, she couldn't possibly tell whether that person is a criminal or not. So I don't know if the implication there is that everyone with a tattoo is a criminal, or wants to be a criminal, or is a potential deviant in some way. That's dumb. I don't know when the fuck Melanie McDonagh was born. She doesn't look that old. I don't know, that's like a weird old, like a weird old great-great-grandma kind of comment. Do you know what I mean? It's weird. Anyway, she then goes on to say, they're useful as an indicator of your character. If you come across someone with a Greek motto on their neck, or a dragon motif in 3 colours up the arm, you don't need to probe any further into the inner depths. Under the ink is a twerp. So there we go. Maybe wherever Melanie is from, everyone who is a twerp lets you know by getting a Greek motto on their neck. Maybe they get the Greek motto for I'm a twerp. I couldn't even possibly begin to imagine, but I don't know where Melanie's from. She doesn't say. But there we go. I've never met anybody with these, but there we go. She obviously knows what she's talking about. She says, character is indeed skin deep, but the awful thing, which professional tattooists really should be obliged to point out, alongside the cost of professional removal of their handiwork, is that our sense of identity is nowadays a fleeting and evanescent thing. Now, personal opinions aside, like whatever she wants to think about people with tattoos is by the by. This is the bit of the article that annoyed me. She is basically saying that it is the tattooist's job to stop people from getting stupid tattoos. That's not my job. My job is to do a really good job of whatever tattoo comes in the door. Now, granted, if somebody comes in and they want a tattoo that is racist, inflammatory or hate-filled in some way, things like tattoos on hands, neck, faces, if you don't have any already, even like partners' names, I pretty much won't do them because I don't agree with them personally, and I think you can, if you really, really want them, you can find somebody else to go and do them. I personally wouldn't do them, but it is not up to me or any tattoo artist to point out how much it's gonna, to a client, point out how much it's gonna cost to remove the tattoo if they don't want it, and to make that decision for them whether it's a good idea or not. It is your decision, and it's you know yourself much better than I do. I've met you for 10 minutes. If you're coming in for a tattoo, you know yourself, or you should know yourself. And if you're getting a permanent marking on your body that lasts forever, it is not it's not part of my job to ward you off from doing that. Everybody knows tattoos are permanent. To be fair, I am amazed at the number of people who come in for cover-ups or changes, or they got a tattoo off somebody where they didn't bother to look at what their work is like. They just went into a shop and got it, and then they're disappointed. But that's people not being careful. It's not my job. Like, I think I'm a good tattoo artist. I wouldn't take on a tattoo if I didn't think I could do a good job. It's always my aim that when the person leaves, they're happy and they will have a tattoo that will look lovely for the rest of their lives. I wouldn't do anything that I thought was gross or weird or anything like that. And I think that's the point at which the line is drawn. I think at that point, my involvement in it is over. Do you know what I mean? If you come to me, you want a tattoo of a butterfly, and then in a few years you decide maybe you're not so into butterflies, that's not my... It wasn't my job to advise you on that. I think you knew that a tattoo is permanent. So I don't really get what she is talking about. I would agree that people don't really understand things like, you know, the cost of removing a tattoo. But again, I wouldn't be putting a tattoo on somebody if I thought that in any way they would ever want to remove it. If that even crossed my mind that they were thinking about, oh, I'll get it, and then if I don't like it in a few years, I'll just remove it, I would never ever do it. The whole point of anything I do is, if I do a tattoo, I'm proud of it, and I want it to last forever, and I want them to be happy with it forever. Yeah, sorry, Melanie, I cannot agree with you at all on that. It is not my job to tell people what to do. Here we go. Fancy having your inner self tattooed at enormous expense at the age of 18, only to find that by the time you get a job, that the rose creeping from ankle to thigh isn't what they want at the Casanova. I don't know what that is. Anyway, maybe Melanie is too highbrow for me. On that point, I will agree with her. I think tattoos are more and more trendy than they've ever been. I think there's a lot of people who hit 18 and are desperate to get tattooed and go out and just get covered in tattoos, you know, as visible as possible, 2 full sleeves, and then by the time you're 21, you've run out of room. And some people make good choices on those. You know, some people, they'll, you know, save up all of their money and research a good artist, get a tattoo that they are so, so happy with. And then how awesome is that, that from the age of 18, you get all these tattoos that you really, really love, and you get to walk around with them for the rest of your life. That's great. On the other hand, there are people who are desperate to get a tattoo at 18, go out, get any old tattoo, and then might regret it. Again, it is not my job to tell people what they might and might not regret. I know personally that I am not the same person that I was when I was 18. I also didn't get any tattoos when I was 18. I waited until I was a lot older to get them. My mum always gave me some good advice, which was, if you want to get a tattoo, wait a year, because if you still like it in a year and you're still, like, you know, enthusiastic about it and everything, then maybe that's a good idea. And guess what? All my ideas when I was 18 all revolved around whatever album I was listening to at that time, or, you know, music in some way. And I'm really glad I didn't get all the tattoos that I wanted to get when I was 18. But saying that is me personally, because if I had have got them, that would have been my choice. And you can do whatever you want. At 18, you are an adult. You can get married, you can drink, you can gamble, you can vote. So why can't you get a tattoo? Like, whether it's a stupid idea or not is completely down to the person. And I don't think it's anybody else's job to police that. Like, who am I to say, or who is anybody to tell you what you do with your own body? That's the whole point of getting a tattoo, is you can make your body look however you want. That's the wonderful thing about it. So I don't really agree with this idea of policing what people should and shouldn't be able to do based on my personal experience and my set of standards, which is completely different to somebody else's. Like, do you know what I mean? What do I know about somebody else's life or somebody else's body or what they want? So she kind of goes on, she kind of points out that everybody's got tattoos nowadays, which I kind of will agree with. Like, if you want to be an individual, don't get a tattoo, because everyone's got them, but there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's really cool that they're, you know, part of the mainstream and you see them more and more. Anyway, I'll read the last little bit. The obvious solution is to make every tattoo semi-permanent. There you go, she's full of ideas. Well done, Melanie McDonagh. You have sorted out the tattoo industry. You're a fucking genius. She knows everything. Here we go. So she finishes with, if a police officer is covered with roses, sonnets or Pokemon, I for one will let loose that deference on which the Met really depends. I don't know, this article is so dumb. It's so dumb. It's dumb, it's inflammatory. I think she's trying to say that, I don't know, I don't really understand what she's trying to say. That if, well, I guess she does say it. If she sees a policeman with tattoos, then she couldn't tell if they're a criminal or not, because that's the only difference between a law-abiding citizen and a criminal, is if you have a tattoo. But then she goes on to say that 1 out of 3 people, I don't know where she's getting this figure from, 1 out of 3 people have a tattoo. So 1 out of 3 people are potential criminals. Is crime on a massive uprise in the UK? I don't really know. She's kind of muting out her own point there. I don't know. I think my personal opinion is, if more and more people have tattoos, I think it's a wonderful thing that policemen are allowed to show their tattoos, make their tattoos visible, because it makes them more like real people. I think, amazingly, police officers are humans too, and they have tattoos. And I think that as tattoos become more mainstream, I think it's important that you are allowed to show them that is a thing that people are allowed to do, because we're all people. I think it's kind of crazy that you would have to hide that aspect of yourself. So I think it's good. I think it's showing kind of like initiative and forward thinking from the police, that if this is changes that they're bringing in, I think that's great. So Melanie McDonagh, I don't agree with you. I think she has some quite outdated views about tattoos. I think she would probably be an interesting person to talk to, because it's not very often that you meet somebody in real life that has kind of opinions like this, that are so strong. And I would hazard a guess that she's never met anybody with tattoos properly. That she kind of views maybe people with tattoos as like the other, or, you know, we're subversive or weird somehow. Maybe it would be an eye-opener to her to realise that she says about beauty being skin deep. I mean, that's pretty much what tattoos are. At the end of the day, they're pictures that go on your skin. You can choose how you want to look, but at the end of the day, it doesn't affect what I'm like on the inside. It doesn't affect what anyone's like on the inside. It's just kind of the wrapper that you come in. It's the way you present yourself to the world. So yeah, I think it's a shame that views like this still exist. I would really be interested to hear what your thoughts are on this. I will try and find an online copy of this article and link it below so that you can read it as well. And yeah, let me know what you think. I'd be really interested. I think it kind of provokes an interesting debate, like whether you think policemen should be allowed to have visible tattoos or not, or, you know, if that's a good thing, if you think that's a good thing. I personally think it's a great thing. I think it's a lovely move forward and I'm happy about it. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Mine's not working. Oh, it works.
I watch all of those. It's called
I'm a dog. Yeah. I'm a dog. I'm a dog.